We are going by the Constitution. We are doing our best with the resources available and the manpower available to us. We are working very hard.
President Buhari calls for understanding and support as Muslims mark Eid al-Fitr.
The essence of the month of Ramadan itself, among other remaining 12 months, is to ensure that it teaches us how to live our life.
Reflections on Ramadan and expectations in the days ahead take center stage.
Even if you are a governor, you are supposed to be working hard in your state to ensure that this restructuring you are calling at the federal level, you have done it in your state as well.
President of the Senate describes current call for national restructuring as inimical to Nigeria's unity. Plus, Transmission Company of Nigeria confirms restoration of supply after major grid collapse. Good evening and happy Eid al-Fitr. This is NTA Network News. I am Cyril Stover. We're live in Abuja, and Adeola Akiri joins me from Lagos, while Zinred Dingmong is in Jos. Muslim faithful across Nigeria have joined their counterparts in the world over in observing Eid al-Fitr, marking the end of the month-long Ramadan fast. President Muhammadu Buhari, who worshipped at his official residence in Abuja, called for understanding, support and cooperation of Nigerians as law enforcement agencies intensify efforts at securing the country more effectively. State House correspondent Adam Musambu has the details.
Another moment of thanksgiving to Allah as the journey of faith, sacrifice, obedience, and spiritual reawakening lasting 30 days comes to an end. But in line with the dictates of the COVID-19 safety protocols, major Eid grounds were avoided as worshipping is restricted to the neighborhood and indeed family units. And in demonstration of leadership by example, President Muhammadu Buhari worshipped at the forecourt of the seat of government alongside the First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari and the immediate family members. Senate President Ahmed Lawan, Speaker Femi Bajabiamila, few ministers and service chiefs were also in attendance. The chief imam of the State House Masjid, Sheikh Abdul Wahid Suleiman, who led the 2 Rak'at prayers, thanked Allah for his guidance, protection, and mercies during the blessed month and prayed fervently for an end to the various challenges bedeviling the country. Muslims, he however said, must genuinely repent from sinful acts and ensure that great virtues and values of peace, love, forgiveness, tolerance, and charity imbibed during the holy month are never discarded. Special prayers were also offered for national unity, stability, as well as sustainable growth and development of the country. President Muhammadu Buhari, who spoke to NTA News shortly after, reassured Nigerians that the government is committed to restoring peace, law and order across Nigeria.
Within the last few weeks, we had about 7 hours meeting. I think the National Security Advisor had gone public to what he could go public with and explain. We understand the problem. We are going by the Constitution. We are doing our best with the resources available and the manpower available to us. We are working very hard, and I think the National Assembly is cooperating very well.
So what do you expect from Nigerians? What do you want from them now?
I expect Nigerians to be more understanding and try to understand the issues involved within the time limit and the resources available to the country. Our biggest surprise and disappointment is what is happening in the Northwest, and we are going to deal with it so that people can go back to the land. This is very important so that we can get enough food for the country and even export.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan, who also spoke to newsmen, harped on the need for Nigerians to bury their differences and make concerted efforts towards achieving unity and stability.
The president is reaching out to all the stakeholders, and I believe that as leaders, particularly those of us that are elected at all levels of government, we should avoid partisanship, we should avoid regionalism. We are all leaders and we are in this together. The solutions must come from us regardless of what level of government we are, whether at the federal level or at the state level or even at the local government level.
Truth be told, we all have equal shares in the blame in whatever challenges we have. We must all come together to make sure that we resolve whatever issues. It is that spirit of oneness and that spirit of togetherness and unity and love that will take us, take us through this.
In the meantime, the presidency has announced that President Muhammadu Buhari will not be receiving guests on Salah homage as he planned a modest celebration. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Well, the Abuja National Mosque played host to hundreds of Muslims for the Eid al-Fitr prayer led by the Murshid Professor Shehu Saeed Galadanchi, who enjoined worshippers to uphold the virtues and training learned in Ramadan. Abdullahi Ajia reports that the 2-rakat prayer was held in the mosque in compliance with the COVID-19 safety guidelines as directed by the FCT administration.
The day of Eid al-Fitr, a day of happiness and celebration for the Muslim community worldwide, having completed the 30 days of Ramadan fast, and faithful in the nation's capital Abuja converged on the premises of the National Mosque to observe the 2-rakat prayer led by the Murshid Professor Shehu Saeed Galadanchi. And in his Eid al-Fitr sermon, the Imam enjoins Muslims to continue with the lessons and virtues cultivated in Ramadan.
We learned all the important things during Ramadan. We learned to be very patient. We learned to be very honest. We learned to be very obedient. And we do hope that Allah will help our leaders, will help us to really deal with these challenges. But of course, everybody is responsible to participate in this.
We thank Almighty God for sparing our life to see this day.
Thank God for everything. God has been so merciful to us.
In the end, the cleric, in optimism and hopes, prayed for Allah to intervene in the challenges of the country. From the National Mosque, Abuja, Abdullahi Ajia, NTA News.
And as the 30-day Ramadan fast ends, the Muslim Ummah converged on various Eid grounds to thank God and pray for the development of the nation with messages dwelling on tolerance, peace and love. Elizabeth Omorui compiled the reports from some northern states.
In Jigawa State, Mohammed Musa Askira reports that Governor Muhammadu Badru Abubakar in the Emir of Dutse joined in the prayers, where the Chief Imam, Dr. Abubakar Sani Brinin Kudu, made case for unity of Nigerians.
Pray for the security in the country and prosperity of the country.
Jamilu Ibrahim in Zanfara reports that Governor Bello Muhammad was among worshippers who prayed for the development of the nation.
And therefore, urge all parents and guardians to ensure that their children dress modestly and abstain from all vices.
Mohammed Goni in Maiduguri reports that the prayers to signal the end of the 30 days Ramadan fast held peacefully in the states.
This administration is committed to ensure that it provides security to the people of Borno State.
Jones Ajayi from Bida reports that the Etsunope and Chairman Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers Alhaji Yahya Abubakar was among Muslim faithful who observed the Eid prayers.
I urge people to go by the lessons learned during the Ramadan period so that we'll be able to live in peace, we'll be able to love each other, and we'll be able to care for each other, and we'll be able to move forward.
Similarly, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad in Bauchi reports that worshippers turned out in their numbers for the Eid prayers.
We urge our leaders, especially our ulamas, to inculcate or re-inculcate the good values of Islam.
Also, Yusuf Jika from Yola reports that the celebration was peaceful in Adamawa State, with Governor Amadou Umaru Fintiri and Lamido Adamawa Barkindo Ali Mustafa joining in the Eid prayers.
Let us do our best to ensure that we close the gap of differences, the gap of hatred, so that we can promote peace and unity in the country.
From Jos, Caleb Goshen reports that the Chief Imam of Jos, Sheikh Lawal Adam, prayed for a more united Nigeria, and Governor Simon Bakulalong in his Salah message sued for peace for meaningful development. Francis Udojo reports that Governor Yaya Bello was among the worshippers who witnessed the celebration at the old stadium Lokoja.
Must not listen to those that are beating drums or blowing whistle for war, or blowing whistle for crisis and crimes and criminalities. They may have their children and loved ones abroad, or they have enough to take care of them. But we don't have enough to take care of ourselves. We must come together and salvage this country.
Joseph Zana Agambo in Jalingo reports that Muslims defied the early morning rain and joined their counterparts worldwide in celebrating Eid al-Fitr after the successful completion of the Ramadan fast.
We call on the leaders, on the leadership, that they should try to be just. It is only justice that will bring back peace and tranquility in our society.
Aliu Tijani Mohammed reports that the Emir of Lafia, Justice Sidi Baji Mohammed, the first, led the Eid prayers.
Nigeria will always be better when we work together, love each other, accept and respect and appreciate our differences.
The need to support government's efforts in tackling security challenges in the country was the thrust of the sermon at this year's Eid al-Fitr in Mina.
And may the blessing of the season bring peace back to our country. We are doing everything possible to ensure the stability and also to protect life and property.
Dalhatu Abdullahi in Sokoto reports that Muslims in the state observed the Eid al-Fitr prayers peacefully.
As an administration in Sokoto State, we have not rested on our hours in trying to mitigate these challenges by confronting them head-on.
Muslims in Zaria observed the 2 Rakat prayers at Malam Musa Eid prayer ground, praying for progress in all sectors.
I urge every citizen of Kaduna State to uphold peace and harmony.
In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Well, the situation was the same for the faithful in the southern axis of the country as adherents converged on various Eid grounds for special prayers. Olabode Arewa has the report.
As religious observance, the Eid al-Fitr provides opportunity for Muslims to renew their covenant with Allah in purity and piety as it marks the end of the Ramadan fast. In Lagos, Abolade Salami reports that Sheikh Nuruddin Abdullah will lead the Muslim faithful in special prayers and join them to continue with the lessons of good moral character imbibed during the Ramadan fast.
All of us, we should cooperate together, pray to God. All the security problems we are having, it will soon become a thing of the past.
In Imo State, Doris Alex reports that Muslims in Owerri use the period of the Eid to continue in prayers for restoration of peace to troubled areas in the country. In Cross River State, Maureen Leo Ajom reports that the state government distributed palliatives while felicitating with the Muslim Ummah in the spirit of the season. From Asaba, Kelvin Ugbechi reports that the Muslim faithful use the Eid prayer to pray for peace and progress of Nigeria. In Ado-Ekiti, Ayodeji Ogunshaki reports that the Muslims use the Eid prayer to renew their faith in the tenets of Islam. Oduakobong Achibong reports from Edo State that prayers for the indivisibility of the country was highlighted as the Muslim Ummah observed Eid prayers which culminated the Eid al-Fitr celebration. OBC Deratede reports that Muslim faithful in Port Harcourt also joined others in marking the day.
Islam, we are taught to, to pray for our leaders, but not to disrespect them
or not to accuse them or to curse them.
Mabekuta and Nejabude, Yemidalimo and Joe Pupola reports that Muslim faithful across Ogun State also observed the 2 Rakat Eid al-Fitr prayer for peace and stability. Larry Bele and Olajide Bello also report on the Eid celebration in Ibadan and Ilorin on Labo Derewa. NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady Aisha Muhammadu Buhari has emphasized the need for parents to intensify efforts towards guiding and protecting their children against abuse and other social vices to complement government's work in the provision of a safer and secure environment. The First Lady stated this in an interview shortly after the completion of the Eid al-Fitr prayer at the State House. Correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied by her family members and other Nigerian women, joined the President and other Muslim worshippers for the congregation of Eid al-Fitr prayer at the State House as part of the celebration marking the end of this year's Ramadan fast. Mrs. Buhari used the occasion to call on Muslim Ummah, especially the women folk, to uphold the lessons learned during the Ramadan fast and use it as their daily affairs for proper upbringing of their children. While congratulating the Muslim Ummah for the peaceful completion of Ramadan fast,
Alhamdulillah, we thank the Almighty Allah for witnessing the end of Ramadan. I wish all Nigerian Muslims happy Eid al-Fitr. I would also like to convey my message to Nigerian women, strongly appealing to them to take responsibility of their children by guiding and protecting them against abuse and other social vices. They must watch movements within their neighborhoods and report suspected dealings.
On the occasion of this year's Eid, after much fasting and prayer nationwide by our Muslim brothers and sisters, we look forward to God's mercy and grace on our nation and upon our people. At this time of great challenges in the nation, the fears and pain, the loss of lives and property may discourage us as well as break our hearts. But we must keep our focus on the great promises of God for our nation. Peace, prosperity, and greatness of our nation.
Enough of this banditry. Government alone cannot do it. We're appealing that all well-meaning Nigerians should speak out and expose all the evil ones within the society.
We should all join hands. We should be prayerful so that all these criminal acts of banditry, kidnapping, all the social vices that are associated with our children, they should all shun it.
The First Lady emphasized the need for Muslims to remain steadfast in prayer for peace, unity, and development of the country. From the State House, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
We'll take a break for some messages now. The news continues shortly. Thanks for staying with us. And still more on the Salah celebration. The All Progressives Congress celebrates with Muslim faithful and entire Nigerians on the occasion of this year's Eid al-Fitr after 30 days of abstinence from worldly pleasures and utmost devotion to Allah. In a statement, John James Akpandu-Adehe, National Secretary, Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee of APC, enjoined Nigerians to use the period to demonstrate the essence of Ramadan, which is about personal sacrifice and sharing with the less privileged. He urged Nigerians to use the occasion to pray for the leaders and the country's peace. Also in its Salah message, the People's Democratic Party urged Nigerians to use the occasion of the Eid al-Fitr as an opportunity to unite in confronting the challenges facing the nation. Spokesman for the PDP, Kola Ologwade, in a statement stressed that the virtues of self-sacrifice, love, perseverance, and inner peace embodied in the lessons of the month of Ramadan should continue to guide Nigerians as a people to face and overcome the challenges of terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, vandalism, as well as the menace of COVID-19 confronting the country. The Action Democratic Party also joined Muslim faithful the world over in celebrating the Eid al-Fitr. The party's national chairman, Yusuf Yabagi Sani, in a statement, lauded compatriots for their demonstrated faith in the country despite the seeming heightened economic and security challenges. Another group, the National Interest Forum, urged Muslims to use the occasion to pray for peace, unity, and progressive governance in Nigeria. The forum's chairman, Shitu Mohammed, enjoined Nigerians to embrace the spirit of love, tolerance, and forgiveness. Well, it is the expectation of every Muslim faithful to commit in totality to the worship of God during the month of Ramadan. But what is expected of them after that? Let's hear from Abdul Malik Hassan.
This is the mood of the Salah for 39-year-old Abdul Karim. Like every Muslim faithful, he is marking Eid al-Fitr to end the month-long Ramadan fast.
It's all about the teachings of Islam, because whatever Islam says you should do it, if you do it, it is your own disadvantage.
For the 30-day period of Ramadan, Abdul Karim was engulfed in acts of worship and fervent prayers for peace in Nigeria and emancipation from hell. Is he now returning to his normal life or maintaining the spirituality of Ramadan? Scholars have always admonished that the high sense of devotion, commitment and worships by faithful during Ramadan should be the standard at all times.
Fasting and maintaining peaceful coexistence, all of these should be maintained because the essence of the month of Ramadan itself, among other remaining 12 months, is to ensure that it teaches us how to live our life.
Ramadan is not just like a college where all of us will be admitted, we learn in the month and we graduate. So when you go to school and you learn and you graduated, that studies must reflect in your future activity. So what that we have learned in the month of Ramadan, perseverance, endurance, almsgiving, charity, being fervent in the worship, we should try not to just allow it to remain in the month of Ramadan.
It is also the prayers of scholars that Muslims focus on religious harmony and peaceful coexistence for the country to develop. In Abuja, Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
Now, while most Muslims in urban centers and communities were fortunate enough to engage in the Eid al-Fitr festivities in their homes, NTA took its camera to various internally displaced persons camps in the Federal Capital Territory to see how the less privileged were celebrated. Ruth Aguele reports.
The mood best describes the slogan, "When there is life, there is hope." It is Eid al-Fitr celebration, and the internally displaced persons at Area 1 camp in the Federal Capital Territory are happy to witness another festival. Fadima Tububa, a mother who has lost 5 out of her 8 children, is nevertheless excited as she has been able to complete the Ramadan fast in good health and celebrating Salah with her family.
Gaskiya na yi murna, na yi farin ciki da har muka je sallah muka sauka sallan idi lafiya. Ba wani abin da ya faru kuma gashi muna farin ciki gaskiya.
Just like Fadima too, some other members of the camp share in the joy the season brings.
I'm very, very happy to see our people enjoying and prayer for our people. These various places where they do crisis, both Christian and Muslim, all of them, you are one Nigeria.
Up west is another IDP camp at New Kuchunguru. But the atmosphere here was different. People went about their normal businesses just like any other day in the camp. But Solomon Benjamin, a cobbler who has been in the camp for more than 6 years, gave us some answers.
Out of 100%, 90, especially 80% are Christian. So that's the remaining percent of 20 Muslim. Some of the Muslim, we join them to celebrate them.
I pray for Nigeria, but I pray for the camp most especially because we want our place to be very good so that we can go back.
With the blessings the season brings in love, unity and sense of purpose, these internally displaced persons are optimistic for a better future. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
To matters of the state now, President of the Senate Ahmad Lawan has formally reacted to calls for the restructuring of Nigeria, describing it as counterproductive and inimical to national unity, stability and sustainable future. Senator Lawan spoke to State House correspondents after joining President Buhari to observe the Eid al-Fitr prayers at the presidential villa.
I believe that as leaders, those of us who are elected must not be at the forefront of calling for this kind of thing. Because even if you are a governor, you are supposed to be working hard in your state to ensure that this restructuring you are calling at the federal level, you have done it in your state as well. Because what you may accuse the federal government of whatever it is, you may also be accused of the same thing in your state. So we are supposed to ensure that we have a complete and total way of ensuring that our systems at the federal, at the states, and even local governments work for the people, that we allow people to participate in governance, that whoever feels that he has something to offer to make Nigeria better does so freely without any let or hindrance.
The Senate President also made a case for Nigerians to support efforts at guaranteeing the desired autonomy of local governments in the country.
We have diminished the local government system. I think we can attribute some of the security issues to the absence of local government system, functional local government system. For me, I think the time has come for us to take up the challenge, the gauntlet, to ensure that the local government system functions. This is in keeping with looking for ways, for means, for solutions to the security challenges that we face. We must never neglect the local government system. I believe that this is one system that had worked, even though in a different name. When it was Native Authority, it was very effective, very efficient. So we must go back to our local government system to ensure that the local governments continue to be autonomous, continue to be functional in order to complement whatever the states and the federal governments will be doing.
In the meantime, the Buhari Media Organization has asked state governors, politicians and political office holders to stop playing to the gallery and do the right thing by channeling their thoughts and desires appropriately. The group gave the advice in its reaction to the demand by southern state governors for the devolution of power, state police and new revenue allocation formula, among others. A statement by its chairman, Niya Kinshiju, and secretary, Cassidy Madweke, indicates that the National Assembly is the right place for the 17 state governors who met recently in Asaba Delta State to table these demands, and that anything short of that will amount to playing to the gallery. Like many Nigerians, the group says it is excited that governors from southern Nigeria set aside party differences to meet recently on critical national issues and agreed on some salient points. But surprisingly, they made some demands which are tied to a national dialogue. BMO said while it was not privy to discussions that preceded the demand for restructuring, it found it rather strange that a gathering of governors that included at least 5 former federal lawmakers chose to ignore the place of the National Assembly in constitutional amendment, but opted for what is clearly not recognized as a legal body for constitution matters. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, says it has restored bulk power to all the 330 kV transmission stations across the entire grid by 5:54 p.m. yesterday, following system collapse that resulted in power outage in most parts of the country. TCN says the 330 kV substations feed 132 kV substations through which distribution companies offtake electricity and deliver to customers. Confirming the development, one of the distribution companies, Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC, says power supply has been restored in all its franchise areas. TCN had on Wednesday reported total system collapse of the grid as a result of voltage collapse at some parts of the grid, with a commitment to restoring full supply as soon as possible. And just weeks after the Contributory Pensioners and Electricity Sector Union pulled out of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners, another affiliate, the Federal Civil Service Pensioners, has been rocked by internal crisis leading to the emergence of factions. The newly appointed caretaker committee in the last National Delegates Conference of the NUP held last month is claiming to be the authentic group since the previous EXCO was dissolved due to misconduct.
Federal pensioners don't have peace with the dissolved EXCO. For the period of 2 years and 7 months of their existence as EXCO of the branch, the said officers only worked for their egocentric and selfish interests, ignoring the plight and agony of the pensioners.
Claims and counterclaims by the various factions revolve around the issue of marginalization, exclusion, high-handedness, and lack of remittance dating back to 2006. The previous EXCO said unless Nigerian Union of Pensioners reverts to directives given by the Labour Ministry, they will form a new union.
On the 18th of July 2018, we are able to get our autonomy. After Minister of Labour queried them, this is the query. The query is here. Instead of them giving us our share, rightful share from the Constitution, they divided our right into 2. Instead of 55, they give us 27.5.
Already, the Nigeria Labour Congress is wading into the crisis, just as the supervising ministry has directed a status quo ante pending its investigations. In time now to join Adiola in our Lagos studio for more stories. Adiola.
Cyril, public holidays to Lagosians are always welcomed because it gives them the opportunity to bond with loved ones. Annie Daniels visited a Muslim family in Lagos who, in spite of COVID-19, still savored the joy of the Salah after 1 month of Ramadan fast.
Walking into the residence of the family, there seems to be nothing serious happening. Then I was welcomed by Haruna Aliyu, head of the home.
Welcome.
COVID-19 protocol was not alien to the family. Aliyu brought us up to speed with the family's experience during the Ramadan fast.
And we are able to perform all we are supposed to do within the Ramadan regulations, and we hope Allah will accept it as an act of worship.
Did you fast?
Yes.
From when to when?
From the first one to the second to the third to the last one.
So tell us about it. How did you feel?
So hungry. Now I only feel tasty.
When you feel tasty, what do you do?
I went to the room and sleep.
The baby of the house, 3-year-old Zainab Haruna Aliyu, was all over the place, playing her age. Did you fast? But for COVID-19 and other issues, the family would have been somewhere else celebrating the Salah.
We will visit some of our neighbors and friends that are in Lagos and those that are not far from us here, but not like what we wish or want it to be.
The Aliyus settled down to meal and insisted I join them. So I did just that. The joyful ambience in the home of the Aliyus is a clear indication that Salah is one celebration Muslims look forward to annually. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
And now to protecting the national waterways. The federal government has taken delivery of special intervention aircraft and helicopter in readiness for the deployment of the integrated national security and waterways protection infrastructure, codenamed Deep Blue projects, to the anchorage. This development is crucial to pruning down the rate of piracy and criminality in the Gulf of Guinea. Michael Olaleye reports.
This is one of the horrible scenes that have continued to threaten peace and investment opportunities in the Gulf of Guinea. The development stimulated a counter approach from government with the institution of a maritime security infrastructure to safeguard the country's exclusive economic zone. So far, 16 armored vehicles, 4 unmanned air drones, 17 fast interceptors, 2 special mission vessels, 1 special mission aircraft and helicopters have been procured across 3 categories of the platform. The arrival of these aircraft and helicopter signals the fulfillment of the ministerial order on the prompt completion of the projects.
In February, the President directed that whatever asset we receive, we should deploy those assets to man the special anchorage area.
While the facilities are yet to be fully integrated and deployed, there is a downward trend in cases of maritime attacks in the country, so that less than 5 cases were recorded across 3 months in 2021, but the supervising agency is still not relenting and has signed a memorandum of understanding with the International Coordinating Center to make the Deep Blue project active within the Gulf of Guinea.
This framework is going to take 9 countries of West and Central Africa. The issue of these platforms is not only restricted on piracy, armed robbery, as you mentioned, pipeline vandalization, pollution, prevention and control. All these assets are meant for that.
The Deep Blue project is a product of interagency collaboration with more than 500 special troops on board. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
And those are our reports from Lagos. We shall be taking another commercial break, but before then, let's quickly wish our Muslim brothers and sisters Ramadan Kareem.
Right, we're back in Abuja. The Association of Resident Doctors, University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, is commending Governor Ben Ayade for policies and measures put in place to engender peace and economic growth while preventing criminality in the state. The association made this known when its executive committee visited the governor in his office in Calabar. Paul Abel reports.
Doctors were the target of kidnappers in the state. But with the introduction of the Operation Akpako, the state security outfit, there is now a relative calm. The resident doctors acknowledge this feat and other giant strides in provision of accessible healthcare services, as well as successes in the industrialization of the state, such as Kali Air, Kalachika, Rice City, Kalafarm, among others.
Excellency, we want to thank you for the Cross River State Health Insurance Scheme to ensure that Cross Riverians will access health very quickly and very easily.
The governor lauded the doctors for their show of maturity and advised them to avoid incessant industrial actions, but understand with government on efforts towards industrial harmony.
Agro-industrial revolution is the primary step to actually go through escape velocity, to leave the shackles of poverty and move into a luster and a bliss of hope.
In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
As Nigeria continues in the pursuit of sustainable growth and development, business and economic analysts have emphasized the imperatives for value addition to products locally manufactured in the country. Now, one area in the agricultural subsector that has shown promise and holds significant potential for Nigeria's diversification drive is the cotton value chain. Anibe Achimugu, President, National Cotton Association of Nigeria, Nakutan, joins me via Zoom to discuss the prospects. Nakutan, of course, is the umbrella body for all cotton farmers in Nigeria. Thanks for joining us on Network News.
Thank you for having me.
Right. We're often inundated with reports on large and cluster-scale cotton farming and the promise they hold in the realization of Nigeria's diversification drive. Now, are we experiencing actual gains already?
Yes, I would say we are doing so. From the intervention of the Central Bank of Nigeria under the Anchor Borrowers Program in 2019. And also that it continued into 2020. We have experienced significant improvement in the production of cotton. Before the intervention, they would have said that there were about 80,000 metric tons of seed cotton being produced in the country. But as I speak to you, it's well over 135,000 metric tons. And that is not just Nakotan, but because of the intervention of the Anchor Borers program, it has stimulated the interest of other farmers to also contribute their quota by farming cotton on their own. Okay. So yes.
Right, but yes. In terms of seed genetics, are we currently capable of growing the short, medium, and long staple in every part of this country?
Yes, I mean, a lot of work had been done in the past by the Institute of Agricultural Research way back in the 60s, where they had developed up to, I think, 6 or 7 varieties from Samcot 8 all the way to Samcot 13. And these varieties are actually suited to various parts of the country, that is ecological parts of the country. And I think that with that, definitely you now have in Nigeria small, short, medium, and long staple cotton being able to be produced in the country.
Right. Now, what has Nakotan done about claims by some cotton farmers that the cost of harvesting and weeding was not factored into the economics of production per hectare for farmers in most of the states?
Yes, I mean, the program is designed in such a way that you would expect, serious farmers to also contribute, to have an equity contribution in the economics of production. That's cost of producing 1 hectare. And I think what we try to do is that every other thing has been provided for the farmer, but we wanted the farmers also to contribute. And for that, we said, okay, things like the labor component of production should be done by the farmer. But we have seen that also that is a challenge indeed for farmers to raise funds for harvesting and weeding. So we are considering reintroducing that to the farmers.
All right, we'll have to leave it there and say thank you very much, Anibe Achimugu, President Nakotan. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. And right at this point, we go over to Zinred in our Jos Center for more reports. Zinred.
Thank you, Cyril. To encourage voters' turnout and reduce overcrowding in polling units during subsequent elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, Plateau State, is to create 2,358 new polling units across the state. The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Hussaini Halilupai, said this at a stakeholders meeting in Jos. Farmer Panye has details.
INEC notes that overcrowded polling units are prone to violence and poses health threats to the voters and officials, pointing out that some polling units are problematic and have contributed grossly to low turnout of voters during elections. It is in view of this that the Commission is creating more units at secured locations to enable citizens cast their votes with ease.
The Commission has now reduced the threshold from 500 to 750. The exercise includes the location of new and existing polling units to places where they better guarantee voter access and support compliance with excellent legal framework for the conduct of elections in Nigeria.
The stakeholders meeting was attended by security personnel, traditional leaders, religious leaders, party stalwarts and members, all applauding the Commission's initiative. In Jos, from Apanyi, NTA News.
Plateau State Governor Simon Bakola-Long says he will prevail on the 36 governors in Nigeria to domesticate the people with disability law towards improving their well-being. This was when he received the Executive Secretary of the National Disability Commission, James Lalu, in Jos. Cameron Kaneng Ladoja reports.
Plateau State is one of the states that signed the Disabilities Rights Law in view of its uncommon passion and commitment towards alleviating their plight. Governor Lalong appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for creating the National Disability Commission, which has captured the needs of persons with disabilities.
I'll take up the matter to the Governor's Forum. Let it be a condition, because I know that you are in the budget now. And when they were looking for an office, I said, look, if they run an office, they should give an office, Plateau Liaison office.
The executive secretary of the commission, who led other board members of the commission, thanked President Muhammadu Buhari for appointing him to head the over 31 million Nigerians living with disabilities. Governor Lalong, the executive secretary noted, has demonstrated uncommon passion and commitment towards alleviating their plight.
As the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, we are requesting of you wanting to help us as we struggle for the domestication of the National Disability Act.
In Jos, Ekemeren Kadeng Ladoja, NTA News.
We'll take another break now. Network news continues thereafter.
The federal government says it is watching with great concern the unfolding developments in Israel and Palestine, urging both parties to see reason and de-escalate the hostilities. In a statement through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Nigerian government further appealed to the two parties to remain committed to the two-state solution and in the meantime guarantee the rights of all citizens to live in peace and dignity. President Muhammadu Buhari has described the death of a former Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Joshua Dogonyaro, as a great loss to Nigeria in view of his patriotic sacrifices in defense of its unity and territorial integrity. In a statement by his senior special assistant on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, the president says, as a thoroughbred soldier, the late General Dogonyaro had professionally distinguished himself in the course of his military career and made immeasurable contributions which will be remembered for years to come. President Buhari also extends deepest condolences to the government and people of Plateau State on the passing of the legendary general. He prays Almighty God to bless the soul of the departed and grant his family the fortitude to bear the loss. And as tributes continue to pour in following the death of Lieutenant General Joshua Nimiel Dogonyaro, Joshua Ojito takes a look at the life and times of the late military tactician.
Yaro was born on September 12, 1940 in Vom, Plateau State. He died at the Jos University Teaching Hospital where he was admitted after a brief illness. General Dogonyaro was a member of what is referred to as the Langtan Mafia in Nigeria's military cycle. He attended Boys Secondary School, Gindiri, Nigeria Defense Academy, NDA, Kaduna, Nigerian Army School of Infantry, Jaji, and National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, Kuru, Jos. The former Principal Staff Officer, Headquarters, Nigerian Army Armored Corps, also commanded the 24 Armored Brigade, among various command duties. He was Task Force Commanding Officer, 203 Armored Battalion, on the Peacekeeping Force in Chad. A member of the Armed Forces Ruling Council in 1985. General Officer Commanding 2nd Mechanized Division, Ibadan, 1987. General Dogonyaro, a former ECOMOG commander, retired in 1993. Meanwhile, Plateau State Governor Simon Bako Lalong has acknowledged the immense contribution of former Chief of Defense Staff General Joshua Nimiel Dogonyaro in finding lasting solution to the security challenges of his home state, Plateau. He confirmed the commitment of the deceased towards the defense of Nigeria's territorial integrity, as well as ensuring its peace and unity. In Abuja, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Sports now with Ayodeji Makinde.
Thanks, Cyril. The Ministry of Youth and Sports Development has unveiled a comprehensive plan for Team Nigeria towards a podium success at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. According to the roadmap released by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Nebolisa Anako, the final stage of local campaign will take place from May 15 to July 6 in Bayelsa State, Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt. Track and field National Olympic trials take place from June 17 to 19, while African Athletics Championship is slated for June 22 to 26, 2021. The last phase of the campaign will be in Kisarazu, Japan, from July 3 to 23, when the first batch of athletes will enter the Games Village for the Olympics proper. Nigeria will present about 80 athletes in 10 sports at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. And that's your sports. It's back to you, Cyril.
You can get more news and updates on www.nta.ng or follow us on our Twitter handle at NTA News Now. You can also like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/NTA Network News, and also stay connected and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Also remember to watch our news live streaming at www.nta.ng/live.
And that concludes Network News tonight. But remember to be a star. Stand with the NTA against rape and rapists. I'm Cyril Stover. Enjoy the rest of your Salah celebration. Good night.